This is a simplified insight into Burnham-On-Sea. So this is the geography of Burnham-On-Sea, and specifically the urban geography. Burnham-On-Sea has a population of 19,839, made of 4 core parts: Burnham-On-Sea, Highbridge, Barrow and Breen. Burnham is the core part, with the most popular beach, Burnham Beach, a holiday village, a cinema, a pier, a library and an arcade, a bustling high street, beyond the high street containing many other businesses, including a Lidl, the best store in the world. Had to do the plug, hoping they sponsor me sometime, please. Burnham has the most population and quite a bit of seaside tourism, the glue that sticks everything together. East of Burnham is Highbridge, and the second largest amount of population. The only part to have a secondary school and the only part with a train station after Burnham's got demolished. Bar that, it hasn't got much. There is a large park, an industrial estate, but now more businesses are coming to Highbridge. They recently built McDonald's, they're getting a Starbucks in, etc. Highbridge acts as a transport hub with a station, the A38, a crucial link to Weston-super-Mare, Cheddar and Bridgewater, with the M5 linking to Bristol and Exeter. The north of Burnham is Barrow. It is third in population and doesn't have much, but it does have a really nice beach, Barrow Beach, with silky smooth sand and the symbol of Burnham-on-Sea, the wooden lighthouse. Barrow does also have a golf club. Barrow isn't special, but is a quiet part of Burnham. However, it does provide essential services to Breen. North of Barrow is Breen and has the lowest of all 4 core parts, with under 1,000 people residing there. It does, in spite of that, have the most tourism, with swarms of caravan parks, a theme park, mini zoo, country club and a water park. Breen also shares Barrow Beach with Barrow, but also has its own Breen Beach further to the north. Physical geography. Burnham, except Breen, reside on flat grassland. Breen is the exception, having the hills known as the Breen Downs, the closest hill. After that is the massive Brent Knoll, about 4 kilometres northeast from Highbridge. 3 main rivers flow around Burnham-on-Sea. The Bree, which flows south of Burnham until flowing into the Bristol Channel. South of that is the River Huntsville, which flows straight in a straight line parallel to the Bree, but 2 kilometres south, merging into the River Parrett. The largest river, the Parrett, which also flows through Bridgewater, flows parallel to the Huntsville, then does a turn north, merging into the Huntsville and out of the Bristol Channel. Burnham has one island, Stir Island, which is completely uninhabited, but at low tide you can walk to it from Burnham. The Bristol Channel is quite interesting. 4th strongest tides in the world and 2nd strongest in the UK, just beaten by the Severn Estuary. So Burnham has powerful winds. One time I walked to Burnham and the wind was so bad I nearly fell over and I had pain in my ears. And now the closest settlements to Burnham, that are under 100,000 population for the south, is Bridgewater, 12 kilometres away, town centre to town centre. That's how I'm going to measure all of this, with a population of 41k. To the north is Weston-super-Mare, also 12 kilometres away, with a population of 82,000. To the slight northeast is Cheddar, which in this case I am including Axbridge. I've walked around Cheddar and I've walked around Axbridge for D&B, and literally the only difference between them is that they're different sides of the Cheddar Reservoir. They're connected, they have states around them. There's no point. So I'm including them as one, for simplicity's sake, as part of Cheddar, which is 16 kilometres away, with a population of 8,000. The closest major cities are Bristol, 37 kilometres to the northeast at 479,000, and Exeter, 68 kilometres to the southwest, with a population of 136,000. Sorry for the mistake there. History. Burnham was inhabited by the Romans as a small village. The Romans left it and it became salt flats during the Anglo-Saxon period. Burnham was later re-inhabited in the 1100s. The Church of Burnham was given to Gloucester Abbey and then transferred to Wells Cathedral. Like the land, not like they just picked up the church and gave it to her. Also, the 1100s is not when it got resettled. I have no clue when they resettled. The Romans just left, it turned into salt flats, and I have no clue what happened after that. I've tried doing research, nothing popped up. All you need to know is that there was a settlement. The drainage system failed after the Romans left, so there wasn't a settlement, and then a settlement was rebuilt later. Don't know when though. But the 1100s refers to the church, so it's obviously before the 1100s, but also after the Anglo-Saxon times. So somewhere between like 1066, maybe a little earlier of 1066, it might have been late Anglo-Saxon times. I have no clue. The Church of Burnham was given to Gloucester Abbey and then transferred to the Wells Cathedral. Oh wait, did I already say that? I don't know. Burnham was on the up, and then in 1607 the Bristol Channel floods hit Burnham, and the floods killed 2,000 people. Of course, it wasn't all people from Burnham, people from Newquay, Bristol itself, other cities that were on the Bristol Channel, Weston. They weren't as big at the time, so 2K is still a lot. And destroyed homes and farmland, and I assume with how low down Burnham was at the time and the lack of flood defences, a large share of those deaths could have come from Burnham. As I said, with the fact Romans had drainage systems, and then once they went, the whole thing turned into salt flats. They did learn their lesson though, and built flood defences. In the 1800s, the core parts of Burnham and some parts that used to exist but no longer do, Arport, which got absorbed into Highbridge, and Hewish, which had the same fate. Burnham, of course, absorbed the rest to make Burnham-on-Sea the way it is today. It's a bit weird that I did skip time there, but it is just like talking about how everything ended up becoming Burnham-on-Sea. Burnham at the time was so small, it wasn't that small, it had 700 people. The largest place in the area was Mark, which had about, I think, 900 people. Don't quote me. I'm quoting a book that I have, that I borrowed from the Burnham Library. Burnham at that time was so small, the largest place in area was Mark, which is the place I said at 900, which exists today but separated from Burnham proper. Voting was done in Axbridge, and Burnham and the rest relied mainly on agriculture. Then a canal was built connecting Glastonbury to the Bristol Channel. It was super successful until the Bristol to Exeter Railway was built in 1849. Originally the only stop in the area was Highbridge, as Burnham was seen as too small then. In 1858, the station was Burnham Station. I just wanted to know, just in case you didn't pick up, the station is Burnham Station. Was opened, which ballooned Burnham-on-Sea, with people flocking there as a beach holiday, and to the mineral water spas that used to be there. I don't know where they went. All I've seen is someone made money, made a mineral spa, and that's it. I don't know when they went. I didn't know when they arrived. I just know they made a mineral spa. No clue. Where was I? Yeah, the Burnham-on-Sea station was axed in 1963, but passenger services were closed in 1951. So from 1951 to 1962, it was only for excursion and goods traffic, until goods traffic wasn't allowed in 1963, as excursion traffic had already gone in 1962. This has all happened because of the Beeching Acts / Beeching Cuts, which is too irrelevant to discuss in detail, but simplified. The chair of the British Railways, Dr. Richard Beeching, hence where the name comes from, scrapped 50% of stations and 30% of track, which he described as either unprofitable or not profitable enough. This was when the future of town planning was cars, so the plan was to replace rail with buses when necessary, and just the rest for cars, I guess. Another thing with what I meant by not profitable, he was complaining and he wrote loads of reports to the railway thing, which is how this all got scrapped. But he was going like, well, this route did make 80% of its losses. Oh no, did make up like a 20% loss, which isn't much, but I don't think it's not profitable enough. And there's other alternative routes, was what we said. But it was like a super long route by what I've read. So I don't get the point, honestly. What was I? Highbridge Station is still around, luckily, and since then Burnham has mostly stayed the same, is still going to this day. Highbridge Station is now called Highbridge and Burnham Station. I think that's just huge cope from GWR going, well, Burnham's gone, but this is the Burnham Station now. It's Burnham and Highbridge Station. Bring Burnham Station back for real. Culture. There's not much unique culture in Burnham, but there is enough that I could talk about it, so I'm going to talk about it. So Burnham had in the 1800s mostly Catholic, not Catholic, reading the wrong part, mostly Anglican Christians, until evangelists, Baptists, Methodists, and other non-conformists come to Burnham from Bridgewater, and most set up in Highbridge. You can see St John's Church, which is an evangelist church, and Roman Catholics shop in Our Lady and the English Martyrs Roman Catholic Church. Short name, isn't it, for a church? You can see in Burnham that there is a Catholic church, and it is huge. You can also see the Anglicans in the St Andrew's Church. I believe Anglican is still the most popular Christian denomination, as it has the most historic church, which spells ring out across Burnham for the church cells. However, I believe a majority of Burnham is atheist, as all the people I know from Burnham are atheists. But I could be wrong. Bar religion, Burnham has a lovely seaside culture, despite being rated the third worst seaside town, which just can't be true. I know there's worse than Burnham that aren't in the second and first spots. And host food festivals. They host them like once every season. There's like normally one in May. There's one in like October-y time. There might be one more wintry time. I can't really remember. There are food festivals. It's the same food festival, just at different, they do it multiple times a year. And the Burnham Carnival every year, only second to Bridgewater Carnival for the area. That's it. There's no more to add. That is Burnham for you. I do want to actually add one thing. I know I'm going to get to the script here. When I said that I think atheist is the majority religion and my assumption on Anglican, that's not because I didn't research it. It's because when I searched it up, I got absolutely nothing, and all I got was a list of churches in Burnham, and like all the religions had one church, but it's like the Our Lady and the English Martyrs Roman Catholic Church is the biggest one by far. Sorry for my bandana, I think it keeps on doing that. This is the largest one by far. It's like this huge like circle dome. It's really cool. You kind of have to be there to see it. Then with St Andrews, it's really historic. Like I was going around the cemetery there because I'm a bit weird and I like going around there, and you like the most like the least recent death, the oldest death, was some point in like 1766, which was like 10 years before America got independence, which I think is crazy. Though to be fair, America's quite a young nation, so I guess. Well, that wraps the video. See you in another one. I'm going to do an audiobook version of that Burnham book I was talking about. I'm not going to do that soon. I'm going to actually read the book first because I actually want to read it. So that could be like a week or two. But once I do that, I will get the audiobook version up and ready. Peace.